Hey guys, this is Brian. It's a bit of a wet day today, but today is going to be dominated by dealing with dandelions up on my hill yard. Let me show you. Now right now we got gray skies, a little bit of drizzle, so a lot of the dandelion flowers haven't opened up today. But when we get close, you can kind of see what I'm dealing with here. When you have something like this going on in your yard, it can seem a little bit daunting. Look at this. There's tons of them. All over the place up here. It can seem daunting trying to deal with this. Now, I have never applied any products up here, and I don't anticipate applying any products up here whatsoever. It can be tempting, however, to go out and pick up a whole bunch of weed killer and just blanket spray the whole yard. But there are reasons to not do it, and I want to explain to you why I'm not doing it myself and why I don't really recommend everybody over my website and here on the channel to do it either. Let me explain. So as most people know, April and May is pretty much dandelion season. Dandelions really come out gangbusters in the early spring. That's mostly because they're perennials. The first dandelions that start opening up in the early spring are usually those that were growing last year. Once soil temperatures get to around 45 and above, then those dandelions start coming back to life. Now there's a handful of them that weirdly stay alive through the winter, and certainly some of them come out in the summer and in the fall, but in the spring, most of them really wake up like craziness. They really do get a jump start on the rest of the summer weeds because most of those start germinating as soil temperatures get into the mid 50s and above. They also sprint ahead of most grass types simply because most grass types don't wake up from dormancy until at least 45 for cold season grasses and 55 for warm season grasses. The dandelions truly are the first ones. And there's a good reason for that in nature. And it's one of three different reasons why I'm suggesting that we don't go and kill all of the dandelions in our lawn. The dandelions that are back there, I'm not going to be spraying them down. I'm not going to be attempting to kill them at all. I keep a really good lawn. Sometimes I leave my hose in the middle of it, but I keep a fantastic lawn. Right there, I'm literally attempting to kill everything, to seed. But that doesn't mean that I need to keep everything amazing and pristine. Back here, this is more natural. There are, in my opinion, three distinct reasons why you don't have to and you shouldn't kill every single dandelion that you see on your property. And I want to talk about all three of those reasons. Now, I'm always beating around the bush here on this channel, so I'm just going to get right to it. Three reasons right here. Because the flowers are some of the first flowers that emerge in the spring, these are the early season sources of food, nectar, pollen for pollinators, like bees and whatnot. Now, we keep a garden over there. We value pollinators quite a bit in our property, and we know that there are lots of other gardeners out there that really want to do everything possible to support the pollinators in the community. If you take away the food source that these guys have, the pollen that these guys have access to in the early season, it's going to stress out the whole system, and I don't care to do that. The second main reason is, believe it or not, because a dandelion's taproot is so deep and robust, I mean, yeah, it like breaks easily if you try to yank it out of the ground, but this thing can penetrate through really terrible soil and go very, very deep. They all do. That is actually the good thing. So yeah, it's hard to dig them out of the ground if that's what you're trying to do, but if you've got them in an area of your lawn like this that isn't exactly your main lawn, if I didn't have dandelions back here, I'd have a lot of bare dirt. So when you have bare dirt, then other weeds come in, but also soil compaction becomes more of a problem. Dandelion root systems actually push down into the subsoil below the area that turfgrass root systems typically go to, and they kind of fracture the soil way down deep and allow for a relief of compaction. So usually what you're going to find in areas that have lots of dandelions is the soil isn't actually compacted. It's actually pretty loose. So if you go and try to grow anything there, it actually takes pretty good. Now, this is springtime, so I wouldn't be doing a lot of seeding in the springtime, but if you wait to the fall, if you don't kill off all your dandelions, they're going to keep that soil a little bit looser so that when fall comes and you go and try to seed over the area, you're going to actually have better results. Now, a third main reason here also has to do with that deep taproot. Now, let's again look at my area here. This used to be a natural hillside. There's nothing special about this hill. This has never been a lawn before we lived in this house before. I currently don't fertilize this area. I don't feed it. I don't weed it. I don't spray chemicals on it. But what I do is I pluck seed heads off and I allow the dandelions to sit. Now that deep taproot it can go feet into the ground, and it can reach nutrient sources that regular grass doesn't have access to. Now this is a good thing, especially in a lawn where you're trying to recover it or repair it, but you don't want to do like a major overhaul, like you don't have the time or money to do that. The taproot goes down and it can tap into nutrient sources that, as it sucks it up into the leaves in the foliar system, and then we go over it with a lawnmower, basically we're taking deep nutrients, turning it into a top level of leaves, and then we cut it, and then it goes back down onto the ground and assimilates back into the soil. Basically, it transfers nutrients from deep in the ground and puts it on top when we mow the grass or when we mow the dandelions. What this does is it provides new nutrition, fresh nutrition for the surface dwelling plants, the ones with shallower root systems, the ones that are desirable, the ones that we want, and it stimulates microbial life in soil that would be otherwise a little bit more dead. By killing the plant, we introduce bare soil, and we slowly kill the soil, the life that's in the soil by doing that. The leaf system for dandelion plants don't actually destroy, or they're not actually bad for grass, turf grasses. So if you do find one here and there in a pretty good yard, it's not like it's going to destroy your lawn. They're not bad for it, but they do bring new resources, new nutrition to the surface that wouldn't get there otherwise. The extra leaf structure that sits above the ground actually shades the ground. It retains moisture in the uppermost level of the soil. It's basically going to help you repair a bad lawn and turn it into a good lawn over time, so long as we allow the dandelion plant to live while we start pushing top growth of desirable turf grasses. Now, in the springtime, it's not the best time of year to be putting seed down. Now, I'm going to be putting some seed down on a small patch of my grass over there, but I'm not going to be doing a major seed overhaul, nor am I really going to be recommending very many people to be doing a major seeding project in the middle of the spring either. But if we take this time of the year to set up a really well-tuned irrigation system, whether it be above ground or below ground, whether it be just by using the nozzle on your hose, and then we set a new habit of mowing the grass regularly, 2 times a week, like every single week, 2 times. If you're mowing the grass 2 times a week, you're going to be stimulating the growth of the healthy grass. You're constantly going to be cutting the dandelions back lower, and they're going to be feeding the new grass. So even if you're not fertilizing the lawn, the cutting of the dandelions with a lawnmower is so long as you mulch it in, it's going to be feeding the soil, and it's going to be feeding the actual grass that you want. Now, here on this channel and over on my website, I have guides to taking care of the lawn. One of those guides here on YouTube has everything to do with repairing a lawn without really spending any money whatsoever, except for like watering the lawn and cutting the grass. So you might need some gas. I'm going to link to that probably up in the top part of your screen and down in the description below. It's worth a watch because that's basically what I'm doing to this hill yard. I'm just slowly turning it into a lawn over a few seasons by doing nothing other than mowing and watering. Now, the trick though is I'm not digging these weeds or these dandelions out. I'm actually plucking their seed heads off. Every single seed head can spread hundreds of seeds on the ground, but a seed, for the most part, is mostly only viable, at least a dandelion seed, most of them are only viable for a couple years. After a couple years, they lose their viability significantly. So even if a dandelion seed has been there for 3 years on the ground, it's not very likely to sprout. So if you're plucking seed heads off whenever you see little yellow flowers, over the course of a few years, you're going to have fewer and fewer dandelions throughout the season, spring, summer, fall. They're just going to slowly become less and less of a problem while your grass starts taking over in dominance. So anyway, there are other people out there. Here's item number 4. This is item number 4. I have to say it just because so many people out there say, oh, don't kill the dandelions, eat them. Yeah, I guess so. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you to do that either. But hey, if you want to, go for it. Now, I don't recommend allowing a nice manicured lawn go all dandelion on you. I'm not going to do that. If I find a random dandelion here in this yard, I'm going to either kill it with a spot spray, or I'm going to dig it out. I've got a pro plugger, which I use to dig out lots of weeds whenever I see them. That one's going to be coming up here soon. So something like this yard, I aerate it, I fertilize it. I don't need the assistance of dandelion taproots to aerate my lawn or to nourish the lawn when I cut it. But not everybody has a yard like this. Now again, you see it's all brown. We're still coming out of winter. Things are still greening up around here. But that's why the dandelions are out. So that's why I wanted to make this video. And while we're out here, I'm just going to say over on the Turf Mechanic website, I've got a couple articles all about dandelion management. I answer the question of whether dandelions are actually bad for the lawn. I recommend taking a look at that article. There's going to be a couple relevant links down below. Make sure to go down into the description and read anything that seems relevant and interesting to you. All right, now with all of that said, I know a lot of you guys are going to want to kill off dandelions in parts of your yard anyway. You might want to prevent dandelions. I also have videos here on this channel about preventing dandelions. There is a dandelion pre-emergence strategy that I have published. I'm going to link to it right up in here. Down in the description, there's a few other resources for dandelion management, killing, when to spray it, all of that business. Down in the description, take a look. Thanks a lot for watching.